So you published a book. And now what? Just because you have a book and nobody knows about you, nobody will be buying that book, and definitely you will not be monetizing your story, okay? My name is Lolita Goren. In case if you just stop by this video and wondering what I'm talking about, is I am talking about my story to impact mentorship, where I'm telling you how to bring something that happened in your life, your story, your lessons, and if you want to inspire someone, because you've been there, you've done that, you're in the right place. So today I'll be talking about how to amplify your voice. And what does that mean? That means you want to be probably on stages as a speaker, you probably want to be on podcasts, and you probably want to be on TV and any other places that people will see you and will want to hire you and pay you money. Because as you know, from book itself, you're not gonna become a millionaire unless you're Oprah, I guess. And again, there's a publishing business going on that you definitely can invest time and energy, but I'm not talking about that, okay? I am talking about someone who's been through their life and they learn a lot. You don't have to be really that old to go through all of your life, but let's say something happened in your life and you survived, and you want to inspire other people to have more faith in themselves, and you want to teach them and monetize that. And I'm specifically talking about writing non-fiction books and then monetizing that. So the first thing that comes to my mind, and I immediately know that there's a lot of people who have stories, they want to be speakers, because as you know, if something happened to you and you want to tell everybody about that, right? You're going to tell your friends, and you probably notice that other people are inspired by what you're telling them and they see themselves in your story, and this is great. This is gaining traction. And if you have not seen my previous videos, go and check it out, because I'm telling you about how to publish a book, what's the process until you get there, right? So now we have a book and we're so eager to share the news about how great we are and how much we want to change the world. So the first thing that I've seen a lot of people that they start talking about changing the world after they already wrote a book. That's too late now. It is. You should be talking about your book before you even start writing it. So you will need to be doing social media and everywhere else, talking, networking, telling your friends. But about this part, I will tell you in the next video. But today, I want to talk about, so now you have a book and you want to speak in front of people. And here's the thing, you know, the book is just like, the way I see it, is a big business card, okay? And it's kind of hard to get some speaking engagements, and especially paid for that. When, let's say, you went through something extraordinary in your life, or maybe not so extraordinary, but you know how to deal with some things, let's say with grief, or you inspire people, or you accomplish something. But if you don't have a book, a lot of times events and organizations look at you like, can you really talk for so long? Because as you know, when somebody gives a book, they're like, okay, I know you can talk about that for hours. If somebody has a chapter in the book, that's also kind of good. And I was talking about book collaborations in the previous video, go check it out. But if you have like just an article, it probably will be difficult for you to have a talk and get paid for that, unless it is extraordinary story. And again, I've seen it plenty of people doing different ways. You need to decide what works for you. But so let's say you're a speaker. I hear a lot of people immediately want to go and have their website. If you want to do just speaking and use your book as a business card, you don't need to have a website. You just can go on a speaker website where they host speakers and events and just have your profile. That's it. Because if somebody's going to be looking for some speakers, they probably will be going through everybody else's profiles as well. So then they can compare you and somebody else. Now, somebody can say, well, I don't want to be in this pile of everybody else, and they can be just going and hiring somebody else instead of me. Why would I want to? Because those people who are looking for paid speakers, They will not be wasting time Googling them up and then going to every single person in their profile, looking their websites. They're not going to do that. Most of the time, they just go to one platform where they see a lot of speakers there already, and then they pick it. Now, I've seen it, and I myself, of course, listed on few websites where they have speaker platform, and for events, also platform who are looking for speakers. I noticed one thing. When I start filling up my profile, I obviously was looking at other people's profiles as well, just to kind of compare what they write about. And I realized that about 10% of all those people actually had a book published. So what did that mean? That means that I immediately was standing out. And more than that, I had quite a few books, not just one. You know what I mean? So if you already have a book and you want to be a speaker, awesome. You don't need a website. Just go to find a website that has for speakers, create your profile, and you're done. You don't need to pay someone to create a website. Definitely not. Plenty of platforms right now that you can create your own website, and you can edit that too. So those days when somebody was charging $2,000 to create your website, this is like 10 years ago. Okay, so now speaking, you can be on those websites where organizers can find you. But here's the deal. A lot of my speaking gigs that I actually get paid for, I got through LinkedIn. I've been contacted by those people who said, hey, I want you to speak and we'll pay you. True story. And not only one. But of course, about LinkedIn, I will talk in the next video. But right now, I'm talking about only how to get your voice out, right? So, speaking, when you have a book, that's great. Also, do lots of networking, but also with the right people, for those who actually can pay you. I've done a lot of events where I was talking for free, and it's good because it's great exercise, especially if you have fear of stage and you you probably know that what they say, that people like the number one fear is of public speaking. If you are afraid of that, you may think, I really want to share my story, but I am not a speaker. I'm afraid of people. I'm afraid of stage. I get it. I've been there. But the good news is you can start speaking for small networking events, going to some Rotary clubs and all kinds of stuff, where women's groups, where there are only a few people, and then you can start talking. And then you will learn it. And it will help you to not be afraid when you're standing in front of people. Of course, get as many stages as possible, although at some point you have to make sure that you do not just waste your time because you really got good at what you do, and then, well, you really need to get paid for that, right? The second thing that I just love, and if you will check out my profile, I've been to over 150 podcasts as a guest. Yes, I know, that's a lot. So, what is that you do? How you get in front of other people? And I tell you, I got clients that way who actually pay me. I got invited to events because someone heard me to speak on a podcast. Yes. I think that's like number one thing if you want to reach people, and if you are a coach, or you want to share your story, or you want to create a program from your story, because remember, we can create that too, and I'll be teaching that as well if you would like to hear it. But you see, the deal is, do not pay to participate in somebody's podcast, okay? You do not pay to be a guest unless they will show you millions of followers. I tell you a funny story. It's not really that funny, but it's funny now when I think about it. Years ago, when I published my first book, that one, The Rest Just While You Work, I was talking with someone and they said, oh my gosh, you just can totally need to get on the podcast. I had no idea how. And sure enough, they introduced me to a gentleman who was claiming that he can put me on 4 podcasts, and I remember very well 4, but they had this very big following, and he was like, oh my gosh, you're going to sell those books left and right, you will book so many clients. Oh, we totally can do this. And I believed him. I paid, are you ready, $7,000 for the I know, I cannot believe it in myself. But I was kind of newbie in the whole this podcast thing, and I was thinking, okay, well, if I pay this money, I will assume that I will have a very good return, right? You're probably wondering, how did it go? I didn't even sell one book, not even one, okay? And I paid $7,000. Talking about bad business decisions. Although I believe there is no bad that will not turn to good, as we say in Lithuania, where I'm from. And after that fiasco, I started asking myself, what does it take to be on a podcast? And sure enough, I found plenty of websites where there's a platform for podcasters who are looking for guests, and also for those who want to speak on podcasts as well. I signed up for, probably that time was like $30 a month membership, and I started approaching podcasts. And I was just pitching myself, and I said, hey, I have a book, this is my story, are you interested? I talk about stress management. Now, for the women's podcast, where they were talking about a lot of women's issues, I will have a niche and say I'm going to talk about stress management and women. For the business podcast, I will pitch them with idea of I can talk about stress management and business. You see what I'm talking about? So you always need to adjust how you pitch yourself to what kind of podcast. And definitely you should not do it for everyone, because you're gonna waste so much of time. And that's not like pitch you 1, 2, and you will be on every single one. I would say when I think about it, I will land 20% what I pitched. I got invited to speak on the podcast. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad, but for me, it worked. So when you get on the podcast, naturally you need to talk about yourself and your book or your project or your coaching or whatever that you're selling. This is where your monetizing starts, right? But don't pay anyone. And even if it looks small amount, like $50, $200, because you see there are a lot of podcasts, and that's their business. They invite people to participate on their podcasts, and they get paid that way. So when you sign up for this website, and you always want to make sure that the podcast that you're about to pitch is that you have to pay them. Sometimes I would pitch some podcasts, but then I will get back and saying, hey, you need to sign this and you need to pay that much. Then I'm like, okay, thank you, but I'm not even going to respond to them because I'm not going to do that. You can do so much with just doing free podcasting. Like I said before, I got paid. I got business because somebody heard me on speaking on the podcast. They invite me onto the events. They book coaching sessions with me. They bought my books. So when you start off, it may feel like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I'm going to talk about this, what the questions may be. You start small. You can go on every podcast that they invite you to speak. The good news is, after a while, you can be waking in the middle of the night and you can just talk about your story just like that, because that's how I am now. I'm like, I'm good to go because I already did so many of them. It's all practice. So if you are afraid of speaking on the stage, that's great for you to learn how to do it, and don't lose a nerve because you do it so many times. So you can start with small podcasts. You can pretty much pitch anyone there, whatever you can find that the website that provides the podcast. Of course, depending how much of time do you have, because it's also kind of consuming. Now, as a stress management coach, I can tell you now, delegate this thing to someone else. You can have an intern, you can ask your child, you can pay a very small fee or hire a virtual assistant that sits on another side of the world and they can do that pitching for you. There are websites that will say that they can pitch you for them, but then the amount of how much they charge you per membership that month, it was not really worth it for me. So you can hire somebody if you really want to hire someone. Just do it, pitching, that doesn't cost you so much money, because it really depends on the podcast. Do not pitch podcasts that are very famous, because they will be inviting famous people, and probably there will be money involved. So when you have very good practice and being on so many podcasts, you will start business coming in. You will see books being bought. You will see people inviting you. Of course, if you know how to speak and you present that story well, right? So in my mentorship, From Story to Impact, that's what I teach. We will come up with the pitches, we can come up with the questions, and I've been through so many podcasts that I know exactly how usually people do those, that it will be easy breezy for you. And you even can practice with me. And guess what? I have my own podcast as well on YouTube. It's called From Stress to Success Blueprint. I can invite you as my guest. So you can have lots of practice if you really want to. So here's the other thing that I hear a lot, that people say, you need to have your own podcast. And this is how I started my podcast too. For the longest time, I said, no, I don't need it. I don't want it. And that's not for everyone. So I interviewed Freddie Cruz, who is very well known here in Houston area, because he was working in the radio and had his own show for a very long time. So he's been talking a while now, and I interviewed him, and you definitely should go and check it out. And he will give his advice on should someone should start their own podcast. So the last thing I want to talk about, how you can amplify your voice, is to also go speak on TV, right? I've been invited to speak on TV, yes, and I really even didn't pitch anyone. They just found me, again, through LinkedIn. So you can pitch TV shows, you can pitch daytime episodes, those who are looking for speakers. If you already have your book and you teach something, meaning you're monetizing this is great, because as you know, especially local news, they're always looking for some entertainment, and they constantly need to speak to people. So when you say, hey, I'm in my town and I'm watching your news and I'm watching the daytime shows and whatever that is, and if you're looking for speakers, here I am. And continuously pitch those TV shows. Don't give up after one time or two. And always good idea to have something that is, to show them why you're so special. So that's why writing a book already and having some sort of system that you teach people, that you can really show how brilliant and good you are within 2 or 3 minutes, that can definitely make an impact. Also, it could be that you can say, well, nobody is going to watch my client is not watching news. That's okay, because it's not like you're going to pay them. No, they will pay you to participate in there. But what you're getting is a free advertisement. You can put, by your name, the TV channel that you've been on. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of other people profiles where they say, I seen on, whatever the channel is. It gives credibility. It brings your name to the level of someone looking at you and saying, it's an authority. So you see, it's an authority that pays you. You need to be seen as someone that can talk about something for hours, someone who's passionate about what they can teach, someone who's been through things, someone who's interesting and entertaining and with a charisma, and someone not boring. Someone is worth paying money for. That's your goal. That's why you need to amplify your voice in any way possible and get in front of as many people as possible too, so they know you. But just knowing you, that's not enough. That's why you need to have something that you can sell, a program, online coaching, or a product, or a book, or just be as a great speaker that they want to pay you just to be you and just speak for them. Again, I highly recommend you to check out the video with Freddie Cruz. In the next video, I will be talking with the next letter, and the next letter, it will be C, and that is connect through authentic branding. And that's what I've been talking about, social media things, LinkedIn, and all other cool stuff. So I'll see you there.